Hi, my name is Mark Lyons,
And I'm Scott Ambler.
and we have been working with Agile and Lean methodologies for decades.
And so, we've seen it used in all sorts of circumstances, from small teams to large organizations.
And yet, we often see misalignment with an inappropriate Agile approach used for specific business context. We knew there had to be a better way.
One that taught them how to customize their way of working for the situation that they faced in their industry and their organization.
The DA toolkit includes hundreds of proven practices from Scrum, Kanban, SAFe, Serial, and more, and puts them into context.
If you have teams facing different situations or evolving environments, then Discipline Agile is for you.
If you're ever uncertain about which Agile or Lean methodology to use, then Discipline Agile is for you.
If you find yourself following a framework with steps that make no sense, then Discipline Agile is for you.
Or if you find that Agile doesn't deliver what it should, making work easier, faster, better, then Discipline Agile is definitely for you.
Discipline Agile helps you to grow your capabilities and those of your organization.
It's an adaptive toolkit that provides the training and guidance you need to make Agile a success for you
And your organization.
Building true agility across your business starts here. Today, business agility extends far beyond IT. It's how organizations go to market sooner, deliver value faster, and make their customers happier. That's why the building blocks of agility, agile skills, and an agile mindset are so sought after. They're the way to stay relevant in challenging, fast-changing times. But agility means different things to different organizations, so there's no single approach that works for everyone. At PMI, we've developed a suite of knowledge, training, and certifications that spans all leading agile practices. The foundation of our solution is Disciplined Agile, or DA. It's the only agile method that incorporates all agile practices in an agnostic and pragmatic way, so you can tailor your way of working to the situation you're in right now and start building true business agility. We offer 5 agile-focused certifications that meet you and your organization where you are. DA Scrum Master introduces you to the basics of Agile and the Disciplined Agile Toolkit to put them into action. PMI Agile Certified Practitioner validates your Agile experience and your ability to apply your knowledge as part of an Agile team. DA Senior Scrum Master teaches you to tailor your approach and upskill, as well as lead your team. DA Coach allows you to steer your organization and others to true business agility by coaching teams to apply Disciplined Agile. And DA Value Stream Consultant equips you to help organizations choose the way of working that's best for them, so they can deliver value faster, right across their business. Each of these certifications puts you on the path to building true business agility. So start with the one that's right for you, for your team, and for your organization. Choose yours today. Agile Reimagined.
Hi, thanks for watching the Discipline Agile Value Stream Consultant overview. My name is Al Shalloway. I'm the Director of Thought Leadership for Agile at Scale programs for the PMI. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well as reach me directly. Now, before we talk about what the Discipline Agile Value Stream Consultant Workshop is, or the DAVSC, as I will call it, the consultant that basically is what it's intended to help create. We want to look at what our objective of it is, what the objective of an organization should be, in our opinion. It's basically to be able to achieve business agility. Business agility being the ability to realize the highest business value in a shorter amount of time, consistently, sustainably, and with high quality that an organization can. And this can always be improved. That's the idea. You never really actually achieve a top. You continuously improve. But there's something in our way, and it's important to understand this because it's not like just everybody's different. There's kind of an inherent problem here. And what's in our way is basically the way we're organized, that most companies have silos. We manage people. We have these hierarchies that result in this. And when you manage people like this, you tend to look to see if people are properly utilized, being productive, doing quality work, working on the right things. I mean, when I say that, it's almost like, why is he saying that? It's so obvious. But actually it causes problems when you manage this way. And this is one of the shifts that's really necessary. And this is one of the things the Discipline Agile Value Stream Consultant Workshop shows. First, why it's a problem and how you can improve it, and what you do need to look for. See, the nature of our work is not in these vertical silos, but rather it cuts across the organization. Like some idea comes in and needs to get approval, and then it works. And of course, I'm showing one path, and that path isn't even linear like this. It goes all over the place, but it's really, and then there are lots of them besides. And the problem is now product managers and managers in general are kind of in contention with each other, and it results in individuals getting different messages, and this causes confusion, lack of alignment, and lack of productivity, and therefore, of course, lack of value delivery. This is our inherent problem. Basically, we manage our people one way and our workflows another way, and it's so natural to us we don't even question it, but we just struggle within it. So it's important to actually shift to managing this work, managing the value stream itself, not the individual people who we should be able to trust, but we are putting them in a situation that's difficult for them to work in, so we don't always get the results we want. So we have to make the shift. No one's really managing this value. They're too busy managing the people. And we have to be clear that this workflow is actually the value stream, and it includes the entire organization, and it needs to be focused around the customer. And the value stream, to give it a proper definition, it's the set of actions that take place to add value to a customer from the initial request through realization of value by the customer. Always begins and ends with a customer. Now, maybe not literally beginning with a customer, because you might get an idea on behalf of a customer, but it's always the customer in mind, and that customer can be internal or external. And I'll make the point, it's about the work. You focus on the workflow, not the individuals. And it's not that people aren't important. Of course they're important. But it's that by focusing on the work itself, you take the pressure, in a sense, off of the person, the people involved. And the theory behind all this, behind value streams, goes back to Edward Deming, the man who the Japanese give credit to them creating quality. His focus was on creating environments within which people can work. And you can do that better by looking at the workflow itself and not the individuals. Because when you look at the individuals, you'll tend to kind of blame them for things. And the idea is, no, don't blame them. Don't blame them for that, but look at the workflow. Okay, so here's an interesting question. How often does the work wait? You know, it comes in and then somebody's busy, so it waits for them to do the job. Then they have to go ask something, and then they have to wait for them. And then this is kind of, if you stop and think about it, you probably see this in your own organization quite a lot. There's a lot of waiting going on. You know, not people, they're busy. The waiting is going on because the people are busy. They're working on so many things that something new comes in, well, it has to wait. So to get anything done from when we want to do something for the customer through the organization and back, we look at the people and we say, wow, look how busy everybody is. Oh, we must be productive. But if we look at the work, again, why you look at the work, if you look at the work, you say, wow, the work isn't going anywhere because the people are so busy. So what we need to do is start attending to when work is going forward, how much time it's waiting. And the issue is you probably wouldn't even know because people don't manage the work as it's moving. Instead, they're looking at the people being busy. Okay, so this is really why we focus on the value stream. And I just put that up there to kind of remind us of this moving and forward and waiting and all that, because it's worse than all this. I mean, at first you think, well, these delays must just be causing delay in workflow. I mean, in delay in value delivery, but it's a lot worse, because what happens when work gets delayed? If you start thinking about this, like you get requirements and you use them, well, they get less clear. They may go out of date, you know, or when two groups get out of sync and then later have to come together. If the work's been a long time, then they've done a lot of work. If they got out of sync, they take a lot more time to get back in sync. You know, the either integration of the parts you're building or the integration of the software you're building or whatever it is, IT or not IT, it'll now take more time to get them back in sync the longer the work waits. You know, between introducing an error and detecting it, it could go up in order of magnitude to find that the cost of the delay can also be incredible because it's out in the field or something, or it's gone into other groups and they're doing the wrong thing. Just waiting for somebody, you know, you get frustrated. All this isn't task switching. It's add task switching to this waiting happening. Now you've got people who are less efficient, but what's literally happening with these other issues is that work is being created when this happens. Okay, so removing delays in the value stream is critical to reduce the extra work that they create. This is the really bad news, is the delays are causing problems, but those delays create additional work. So now we're working less efficiently because of multitasking. We're delaying value delivery because of delays, and we're literally creating extra work to do, and it's all a downward spiral. Okay. So the DAVSC is really a value stream management workshop, because if we can improve the value stream so we get rid of these delays, we'll get rid of a lot of this extra work. We want to shift from managing utilization, keeping people busy. Like right there, we got a very highly utilized road, and people would say, oh, it's full, but then somebody who's trying to get more stuff done would say, hey, here's a spot, here's another spot. It's ludicrous, but it's what happens. We tend to think, oh, I can just jam more in and things will happen, when what we want to do is focus on throughput. Okay, so finally, what is the Discipline Agile Value Stream Consultant Workshop? Now, I start here after we understand what our goal is and after we see what our problem is, because in a lot of ways, this is what the DAVSC is about. Identify what you want, identify what's in the way, and then figure it out. Now, it's interesting, or it's actually quite important to understand about the DAVSC, is the way it's based and how it was designed. Okay, it was really designed as based on the job task analysis of what a consultant needs to do to create an organization, not create the organization, but help an organization have more effective value streams. Okay, so it's like, what do they have to do? And then along with that was a set of thought processes, tools, like Miro boards. These are virtual boards that people can work with, a system that supports doing this. So you look at the job task analysis, what is it they need to do? How do we support them with a tool set? This goes beyond the original Discipline Agile tool set, which is really fabulous, about teams, individuals, and corporations. This is an additional tool set on that focuses on organizational improvement. And the DAVSC teaches this combination of what's needed to be done and how do you achieve it. Okay, so who is this workshop for? Well, it's for value stream consultants who help other companies get better. It's for internal transformation agents. It's for anyone really who wants to learn about flow, lean theory, constraints, how they work together, because the DAVSC uses all three of those. So the goals and expectations are, first, we're gonna understand the principles. We're gonna learn practical knowledge that comprise value stream management. We're gonna explain how these three, along with organizational development theories and practices, work together to help change. And it's important to understand we're going to facilitate and design a tailored approach for any organization to improve their delivery of value to customers. You know, whether it's a new agile transition or improving a stagnated one. The thing to recognize is that although different organizations are different, there are a lot of similar patterns between them. But so some tailoring is needed, but creating something that's custom fit isn't really that hard because of the patterns that are present. So we teach that in the workshop. Also, what's the best place for an organization to improve? It's not always the team. This is kind of a myth that started because Agile started at the team with the Agile Manifesto, which is incredibly team-centric. So Agile started at the team. Team is very important, of course. It's like the engine in your car, so to speak, but it's not the only important thing. And if the problem in your car is you can't get the brakes unstuck, fixing the engine doesn't help so much. So what we want to do is make sure we start at the right spot. Also evaluate the health of an organization's culture. Some organizations are better than others, and there's a relationship between how culture works and management methods. I don't mean the managers themselves, I mean the way an organization is managed. So we look at that and help you see what changes can we make to the way we manage our work in the organization to improve it. Okay. And finally, you know, sometimes you need customized practices to facilitate something. There are sometimes differences that you may not get out of a book. You may not get off the web. And you say, well, look, we need to adjust it slightly here, but how do you know if the adjustment's good or bad? We don't want to just drop things that are needed, but we don't want to be stuck to things either. Okay. So let's take a little look between that, what DA is different than, say, the Scrum and SAFe approaches, which are typical, because it's important to recognize this is just not another framework. In fact, DA Flex isn't a framework at all. Disciplined Agile is not a framework. It's a toolkit Discipline Agile Value Stream Consultant with Flex is kind of a combination integration of two toolkits. And this is important because when you have frameworks, you have core practices which may or may not be applicable. Okay, so the DA is based on the value stream, Scrum and Safe are based on the team, and then you move up in the organization, up this hierarchy. So oddly enough, they're kind of slightly hierarchically organized, which is what we're trying to actually counter. Okay. Discipline DA Flex can use either flow or increment planning. So increment planning is like when you say we're going to do like the next 2 weeks of work or the next 3 months of work. This is what Scrum and Safe does. But sometimes you want to be in a more of a flow. Something comes in, you work on it. Something comes in, you work on it. Something comes in, you work on it. Makes you more agile. It also gets things out the door faster. You don't just manage dependencies. You see how to eliminate them. And you work more on how people, you get down to the more the micro level of what the changes can be. Okay. It's a tailored improvement target. In other words, we don't have one end game, which you typically have. This is Scrum and Safe said, this is what you're going to look like. Now, DA, we have a kind of a conceptual end game, but we end up tailoring it to the organization. And there's also a tailored way to get there. Maybe you start at the team. Maybe you start at product management. Maybe you start, who knows where you start? You got to find that out. It's not hard to find that out. It's like looking at a hose and seeing where it's blocked. You don't always assume it's at one end or the other end. Whereas typically, most Agile methods have a preset way to get there. Starting at the team is the normal way for most of them. Okay. DA teaches both lean flow and the theory of constraints because all three have something to add and they integrate extremely well. Now, they're alluded to in Scrum and Safe, but they give you a few practices, but they don't give enough understanding to really wield them as well as we do with Disciplined Agile. Basically, DA implements Agile in an Agile way. In other words, although we do have a vision of where we're headed, we don't have what you would call a set roadmap. Like, okay, now how's we're getting there? We're taking this road and that road and making these turns. See, that's kind of like a big design up front. That's like figuring out that, oh, we know how to do all this, so we're going to put this whole plan into place and then follow it. Rather, we create a backlog of projected changes, and then we work on them and we improve them. And as we work and improve, we can adjust them as necessary. And they're actually usually pretty accurate, but the idea is you can change as you learn, whereas basically Safe and Scrum typically have a predefined approach on how you're going to take this path. So this is another value to it. Okay, you have an assessment for tailoring. So we give you the tool to see where you are, what you need to improve. How do you improve each of the different steps? So you're not figuring this out all on your own. We're giving you the tool to do it. Scrum and Safe have assessments, but they're about how am I doing Scrum? How am I doing Safe? We really want to be looking at how am I doing? How well are we producing value? And this is really the key. DA teaches you how to look at the actual value production and look at it directly, not how well are you doing the framework. Now, doing a framework well will get you good results, but working directly on the work itself to get good results will get you better results. And this is something that I'm actually mostly excited about, I would say. And this sounds like maybe a little subtle, but Disciplined Agile Value Stream Consultant Workshop has been created by several thought leaders. Okay, I'm one of them, but I'm not like the only one. I may have more to do with the DA Flex system, but you've got Scott Ambler and Mark Lines, and then a whole cast of others who have contributed to this. The reason this is important is because it enables an integration of multiple ideas. And it's not stuck on any one particular person's idea about how to do something. We can be very pragmatic this way, and we continuously learn and improve. Most others, unfortunately, you might have many people building it, but you typically have one or two thought leaders who are basically leading it. And as we talk about in the Agile space, you really want teams. You really want organizations comprised of teams contributing to everyone. So it seems natural that you would want the methods you follow be developed and built the same way. Besides all that, we have some essential concepts that are really useful. And these other concepts can be incorporated into other methods. So please kind of steal them. I'm going to show you one right now. Take them and apply them into the method you're using. And this is actually some other way that the DAVSC can be used. It can be used actually extended, improved other methods. It's designed for that because, again, it's designed around actually the theories and principles and the practices of the work. So I'm going to introduce one quick one here. This is very, very important, and I think should really be used by just about everybody. And it's called the minimum business increment. It's the smallest increment that we can create for which value can be realized by an internal or external customer. And a lot of people think this means for a customer. A lot of people think this means a minimum viable product, but that's actually different. An MVP is intended for when you're building a new product. You're going to discover whether or not it's viable. Is it practical? Can we make money on it? Does it add value to our customers? But an MBI is when you actually have an improvement to an existing product. And what you want to do is see, well, who's involved? How do I align them? Because it might take 3 or 4 parts of the organization to build something. With an MVP, you've actually got, probably a small team or a couple teams working together, and that's mostly what they're working on. But the problem with a lot of organizations is when you're extending an existing product that needs to be improved across an organization. And this is an issue because it's not this simple, small thing you're building. And our focus is on this minimal chunk of value. We use initiatives or epics. Those are too large. We're not going to build the whole thing. Features may be too small. Like if you add a feature to an airplane, like we're going to get it to turn left, you can't release it just because it can turn left. You've got to look at the whole thing, but the smallest chunk, so you can focus on. And it's not about doing less, it's about delivering value sooner, okay? And an MBI is not just the requirement, but who's involved, what does it take? Also, what are the non-development aspects that are required for this, okay? So this is a different concept, and it's something that's at the heart of the product management of DA Flex, and that's taught at the Discipline Agile Value Stream Consultant Workshop. Okay, now the other thing about it is not just this different approach in terms of what Flex is. Again, the engine flow for enterprise transformation, that's the heart of the Discipline Agile Value Stream Consultant Workshop. But it's the approach we take. So the first thing we want to do is take a look at what a future state could look like. Okay, again, now we're not going to say this is specifically what people are going to do, but get a general idea of what does the work of effective organizations look like, that this is an important thing. So there are patterns, again, that all organizations have. And even when there are some differences, like some are regulated, some have to follow certain rules and fill out certain documents, some involve hardware and software. The core is very similar, and then these differences, these different constraints we can look at and adjust. So there is this kind of general vision, like if I'm in California and I want to get to New York, I've got this general path. How am I going to get there depends on like what are my challenges. So I see where I am, I see my abilities to change, I see what I can do, I see what my bigger problems are, and then identify actions. This is where we create not a final roadmap, but rather we create what we call an improvement backlog. But we don't just go and we work on it. We have to look at the culture of the organization. How can it just change? Who's leading it so we can see what we can change? Is there an opportunity for change? Sometimes some change requires a certain knowledge the organization may not have or the people in the org may not have. So we have to look at that. So we take this, these are the things we want to improve, but then we look at how to go about it. And then, of course, that's what we start working on, and we use this process to start, but we also use it to keep improving. This is kind of an exciting piece of this. A lot of methods tell you how to start, but they kind of say, well, do this, but then you haven't learned how to think yourself to improve, and the DAVSC does that. And to summarize, this is really one of the big things. We're creating a new way to transform. You create a fit-for-purpose way to go. So people are given something very explicit. Be clear here, the DAVSC has a lot of work to do. They've got to figure out, working with the organization. They don't just tell the organization what to do, whether they're internal or external. It's like we give them the experience of and the theory to make improvements, and then they work. If they're an internal consultant, they understand what's going on. If they're an external consultant, they have to work with the company to understand what works for the company. And then out of that, they create a tailored approach for the organization, kind of built on existing modules. And then this becomes more effective because change generally is difficult, but a tailored path will get you in the right place. Again, a path that's tailored to start, and then you can adjust as you go. It's more effective. Well, I hope you found this useful. Thank you for watching. The DAVSC fits into our family. I'm not going to go through this now, but it's one of many workshops, one of many offerings that Disciplined Agile offers. And if you want to get more information, look at the URL at the bottom, pmi.org/disciplined-agile. Again, thanks for being here. Hope you found this of value.